Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Joseph Lopez. Let's take a look at the headlines. Ministry of Food Production looks toward preserving the local aquatic ecosystem. The launch of the first mobile people's desk. And new policy safeguarding children and women from the hands of abusers coming soon. Thank you for joining us in our top story. A number of recent cabinet approvals for the Ministry of Food Production will assist in the resuscitation of the rice industry, preserve the local aquatic ecosystem, and prevent citizens from exposure to certain diseases.
Cabinet has agreed to allocate 1,500 acres of state land located in Nar River, East Trinidad, to the Ministry of Food Production. Speaking at the post-cabinet news briefing on Thursday, Senator the Honourable Devan Maharaj explained that the land would be used for commercial rice production.
As indicated previously by myself and as recently as yesterday, rice is one of the main staples of our diet in Trinidad. We import some 34,000 tons of rice, of which we produce only 5%, meaning that the cost to Trinidad and Tobago ranges close to $90 million TT for that imported item.
The Honourable Minister noted that his ministry has set a target to have 10,000 acres of land in this country under rice production. In this regard, he says the ministry intends to engage suitably qualified and experienced private sector agri-investors to develop and cultivate rice on the land in Nar River.
The person is to be selected through a public competitive bidding procedure. The subject of the attainment will, of all requisite approval, the standard commercial agricultural lease be granted to the agri-investor for a period of 5 years in respect of rice production. The lease will be vetted, of course, by the Attorney General, and we hope this will be continuing our development of the rice sector and in the part of our overall mandate to make Trinidad and Tobago a food-secure nation.
Minister Maharaj also stated that Cabinet gave approval for a committee to be set up to deal with one of the local zoonotic diseases, which are diseases that are transferred from animal to human.
Rabies, brucellosis are some of the types of diseases that have of this nature that have been identified in Trinidad. Brucellosis was discovered in our livestock population since April 1998. Since then to now, there have never been put in place any measure that properly address this disease. And at least 4 positive human cases have been identified to date. As a result, a committee has been established to treat with this and develop a plan. And this approach will require the Ministries of Health and local government with the responsibilities for abattoirs, and the Ministry of Food Production with the responsibility for disease-controlled animals to work together to develop a national control program, coordinate disease management and activity, define the rules for the stakeholders in the control program.
The final cabinet approval for the Ministry of Food Production was with regard to the restriction of importation or possession of selected aquatic species imported into this country. The Honourable Minister said the restrictions have been targeted at high-risk invasive alien species.
The electric catfish, the African tigerfish, air-breeding catfish, parasitic catfish, electric eel, snakehead, air-sac catfish, the red-eared slider turtle, and the restriction on the possession of basses and piranhas.
The minister says the restrictions are necessary in order to reduce the intentional and unintentional introduction of species into Trinidad and Tobago which exhibit invasive tendencies into our aquatic ecosystem. He says the measures are aimed at assisting the preservation of local biodiversity and preventing deleterious economic and social effects as a result of the alien invasion species. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
The Ministry of the People and Social Development launched its first mobile people's desk on the Brian Lara Promenade on Thursday. The initiative seeks to bring the services of the ministry closer to the people and respond to their concerns.
Bringing services closer to the people. That's the intent of the desk on the promenade launched by the Ministry of the People. Minister in the Ministry of the People, Vanilla Allen Toppin, says the open door, open air policy is aimed at providing a helping hand to those in need.
Very often we don't know that there is a problem and we want to help. And some people sit and say, nobody can come by me. Look, the flood mashed me up and nobody can tell me anything. Nobody can come. We really committed to working, but we cannot know everything. So I am saying to you today, ask and ye shall find.
Dr. Glenn Ramadar Singh, Minister of the People and Social Development, says the mobile version of this People's Desk initiative will go to various communities across the country.
We are going to put the People's Desk on a Monday morning in different parts of Trinidad and Tobago. And we shall do it in a quarterly basis, where we will visit different zones of the country. So if we are in the east, one Monday, the People's Desk will be in Arima. The next Monday, it will be in Aruca. The next Monday, in Sandy Grande. And the next Monday, in Toko. And we would have covered a zone a month. And so, this People's Desk will be moving throughout the length and the breadth of Trinidad and Tobago, where the street dwellers could come up to it, where the differently abled, the elderly, the sick, and those who want information about government services, all and sundry, can come to the People's Desk.
Minister Ramadar Singh says the People's Desk represents democracy at work for all citizens.
We must construct the people-centered society of freedom in such a manner that it guarantees the political liberties and the human rights of all our citizens. This too is our hope. The People's Desk is a radical shift in a mental paradigm to understand that the people come first, and what the people want, the people must get.
News 4 spoke to some citizens who commend the move as one in the right direction and says it listens to the needs of the people.
It was excellent. It's the implementation is what is important. You have a desk, as long as the outreach reach to the people, it is important. What I would ask kindly though, there are people in the Digger Martin area which has been flooded. If the minister can go immediately and take care of the people needs, not only in Digger Martin, but you have the environs of Belmont, Mova, Laventy. Let us network with the fundamental, holistic values coming together to help the people.
But I think the government doing a very good thing to try to help all the poor class of citizens. I might thought about it, you know what I mean? I think they're doing a very good job.
A nice thing. I hope that they can help everybody that is in need, including myself and others, to go with the children to go to school and the poor people in the country.
Dr. Glenn is a hard-working man, as I know, right? And I asking the people them to be lenient with him, you know, and everything going to work out. And it's just a little time, as he say, for the month, if it's 4 places he's going to be, and he will be trying to work as hard as possible. So people them could be a little lenient and assist him by helping, you know, holding on and waiting for things to happen in the country. Things don't happen overnight, and I seen it for myself too. So in behalf, he have been doing good, and I compliment him.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
The Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development held its closing ceremony for the Defining Masculine Excellence Program, Food Preparation and Home Management Program for Men and Boys and Women in the Harmony Program Fiscal Year 2013. The ceremony is a unique one which combines the graduation of over 300 women and boys who participated in over 3 programs.
One of the strategic objectives of the Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development is to develop programs relevant to gender-specific issues, including the elimination of all forms of violence, particularly those targeted against women and girls, and the elimination of poverty. In order to achieve these stated objectives, the Ministry has developed various policies, projects, programs to address these issues and how they affect men, women, boys, and girls.
Thus, the promotion of gender equality, social and economic inclusion to access to empowerment programs such as these are crucial to people-centric development, which represents the guiding philosophy of the Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development in the execution of its mandate.
Being male right now is the greatest opportunity for our nation. If you don't believe me, ask Batu and Simpson. They're making a lot of money on burying male bodies who have not been taught how to define their masculinity in excellence. So this program is a primary prevention, secondary, and tertiary intervention of taking young males from the womb to the tomb and helping them to go back into their various structures, whether it's at the school, on their job, and most importantly to their home, to define their masculinity and excellence.
Minister of Gender, Youth and Child Development, Clifton Dikoto, says it is in this context it is particularly gratifying for the ministry to welcome those whose success is being celebrated and who have completed their various programs.
But as I go along, I will tell you, who couldn't even boil water? I ain't saying it's me, which is true. I know I became the corned beef specialist when I was at university, but I'll tell you about that too. So congratulations must be extended to each and every one of you who have not only grasped this opportunity to transform your lives by participating in programs being offered by the government of Trinidad and Tobago through the Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development, but for also having successfully completed these challenging training programs.
The Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development strongly realizes that programs such as these are necessary to combat not only the growing gender concerns in respect of women, men and boys in our society, but also to promote the development of the valued citizens toward making their contribution to national development. The minister says to the graduates the importance of this milestone in their lives cannot be understated, and the closing ceremony is ample evidence that their combined efforts have borne fruits, and of this the ministry is extremely happy.
You have done well. You have done very well. And the ministry takes the opportunity to say to you, well done, well done, well done.
Moreover, he says the ministry stands in its solidarity with the graduates as they work together to the development of the nation. Meanwhile, newly installed minister in the Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development, Razia Ahmed, says new policies safeguarding children and women from the hands of abusers will soon take effect. She was speaking at the launch of the new River Flows Foundation, a home for girls.
Legislation mandating protection of children's rights will soon see the introduction of new policies. This according to recently appointed Minister of Gender, Youth Affairs and Child Development, Razia Ahmed. Speaking at the launch of the River Flows Foundation, the minister says new laws will ensure parenting responsibilities are taken more seriously.
The Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development has several policies and initiatives which have already been approved by Cabinet. The first one, the National Child Protection Policy and the National Strategic Framework for Child Protection. This aims specifically to provide a framework of standards and principles and guidelines on safeguarding our children against abuse, neglect, exploitation, and violence that put the children's interests first. The National Parenting Policy is geared towards providing adequate support for parents, parents-to-be, and caregivers in providing a safe, nurturing, and stimulating environment for our children to grow, flourish, and mature.
The minister says the new policies will also seek to regulate foster homes.
Regulations are also currently being developed to facilitate the proclamation of the Children's Community Residences, Foster Care and Nurseries Act. This is legislation that will ensure that minimum standards of care, a floor for caring, are provided by foster parents and foster institutions.
She notes that recent statistics reaching the ministry indicates a rise in violence against children and rape incidents. The minister says government is working with the relevant NGOs for developing a framework for securing child rights.
The government through the Ministry of Gender, Youth and Child Development, has set an extensive agenda for child development. The ministry is working and will continue to work towards ensuring that all our children, whether they have been subject to unwarranted, unhealthy circumstances or not, that all our children live in a safe and enabling environment to play and grow and learn and develop.
The River Flows Foundation mission is to save girls and women from the plight of abuse. According to founder Dr. Sandra Naipaul, the aim is to give a voice to the voiceless and provide shelter and a helping hand to the forsaken.
It is with this compassion that the River Flows Foundation has joined this plight in trying to save girls in Trinidad and Tobago. Hence, today it is about bringing awareness to the plight of abused and neglected girls in our communities. It is about giving voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless for a brighter future. This evening is about stirring compassion for the plight of abused girls and women in Trinidad and Tobago.
Kimram Calawan, News 4.
Up next, our sports report. Welcome back. The 2013 edition of the TT Pro League's first Citizens Cup kicks off today, with teams gunning for a $100,000 first prize. The most anticipated clash in the quarter-final will be between Point Fortin Civic and W Connection, which will be hosted at the historic Mahaika Oval in the Southern Bar. Wayne Cunningham has more on the matchups.
Action kicks off in the first Citizens Cup, 6 p.m. on Friday at the Hazley Crawford Stadium in Port of Spain, when bottom of the Pro League table clubs Police FC and St. Anne's Rangers battle each other in a playoff for a quarter-final spot against two-time winners San Juan Jabloteh. That match will be contested on Monday from 6 p.m. at the Marvin Lee Stadium. The late clash on Friday will feature rivals Central FC and Northeast Stars from 8 p.m. Central's Mark Leslie said his team is ready for the challenge.
I believe that competition will be very intense. We all know how Northeast play with a lot of high energy, but we at Central have adopted the same style. So hopefully they'll match up and create quite a stir within the competition. We look forward to the challenge, and as we all know, all cup competitions lend to building a legacy at a club. So hopefully we could put our first trophy into the cabinet at Central.
The second encounter on Monday at the Marvin Lee will be a rematch of last season's final between Caledonia AIA and the Defence Force. The military's Ross Russell welcomes the clash against the defending champions.
Yeah, no Defence Force, we take anybody we get, as Dexter Skeen indicate. We really not afraid of nobody on the board here, really, because we are the champs of the Pro League. So we taking it as it come. We had a rough start, and we intend to revenge our start, because I think we give enough game already. We lost 2 already, and I think that we are our quota for this year. So I think we're going to do our best in the first Citizen. It's a cup that I love. You know, it's crystal clear, as you can see. And it was in we could see our showcase already for our visitors. So I would like it to be back there because my boss likes nice things.
The encounter, which holds the most interest, will be on Saturday at the iconic Mahaika Oval in Point Fortin, where the home team will face 6-time champions W Connection. Point Fortin manager Ken McCree says it's the match his players wanted.
Well, the players will be very excited. I mean, they wanted that showdown, for want of a better word. I think they're looking forward to it, and it will be an exciting, and it will be a good test for our team. Every game has a final, so we go in a game expecting to win. As I said, we always will be competitive, and we hope to the players always give up their best for their community.
Pro League football goes back to the community with a big test on Saturday at the Mahaika Oval. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
More news after the break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Citizens across Trinidad and Tobago are heeding the call by the Ministry of Health to adopt a healthy lifestyle. This was evident by the large turnout at the ministry's National Wellness Festival.
The Ministry of Health hosted its National Wellness Fest and 5K at Skinners Park in San Fernando, which forms part of the ministry's Fight the Fat campaign. On Saturday, scores of patrons came out to partake in the various events. There were educational booths which promoted healthy lifestyles and offered alternatives to many of the poor eating habits in which citizens engage. There were even opportunities for blood sugar and pressure testing and massages for those who had a hard work week. Before the 5K kicked off, there were warm-up exercises, including the popular Zumba fitness exercise. Minister of Health, the Honorable Dr. Fuad Khan, spoke of the importance of this and other such events and the impact it has on society.
It's very important to have a day like this because this is Caribbean wellness and this is Trinidad wellness. What we have been promoting is proper eating habits and a less sedentary lifestyle or more active lifestyle. And this is part of the whole program, what we use as an annual event, so to sustain it throughout the year. So this is one of our annual events. As you can see, it's quite elaborate, and it brings all the stakeholders together. And we're trying our best to promote, as I say, proper eating habits and proper living in the country itself.
Minister Khan was pleased with the large turnout at the event, which he says gives the sustainability to move forward. The Honourable Minister believes citizens are now beginning to take a serious look at their health and well-being.
In fact, they have started to buy into the program of Fight the Fat, brought on by the Ministry of Health, and also we had the Southwest Regional Health Authority assisting us with today's event. And right now I have the chairman with me, Dr. Lakram Bodu. They've all bought into the concept of the proper eating habits, which we call Fight the Fat, and also I say decrease the sugar intake. What we're doing is trying to make this branded on people's minds. So when they think of this program, they think about healthy eating and proper activity. Less sedentary and more vegetables, less fast foods, and less, as I say, excitotoxins, which are the processed food ingredients.
Minister Khan has pledged his commitment to seeking a change in habit among citizens to one that promotes a longer, healthier life. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
The Minister of Legal Affairs, the Honorable Prakash Ramada, is commending the Mayor of San Fernando, His Worship, Dr. Navi Murdali, for his contribution to the development of the city. His praise comes as he pays an official courtesy visit to the southern city.
Mr. Ramada is describing Mayor Murdali as the best ever mayor of San Fernando. He says since leaving San Fernando to pursue his political career, he is amazed upon his return to see the constant improvement taking place within the city.
To see the changes under his guidance as a mayor here, it is really uplifting. I see San Fernando as being far shinier, cleaner, better, and a sense of optimism.
He adds the initiatives started by Mayor Murdali are very commendable and there should be a drive to implement them nationwide.
This latest campaign of a safe eating environment, I want to say that has enhanced San Fernando as a safe place to eat, and it generates greater business. So these are the things, that some of the innovative efforts that we've seen and admired in San Fernando, the issue to deal with noise pollution, empty lots. And so I think these are matters should be emulated throughout the nation.
Mr. Ramada says what he's most proud of this council for achieving is the Waterfront Development Initiative.
San Fernando is a beautiful, beautiful place, especially our waterfront area. And under the guidance of this council, we've seen work finally start. It's a promise that had been made to San Fernando and all of Trinidad for more than a generation, and that work has started. First baby step, yes, but an important start to what will come.
The waterfront is expected to be completed within 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for San Fernando West, the Honourable Carolyn Sipasad Bechan, says the waterfront is a small part of the larger plan which she and the San Fernando City Council have envisioned for the city. A plan which she says is worth over $1 billion and will ensure the sustainable development of South Trinidad.
This is the first phase. It is part of a bigger plan. As you know, further down on the other side, we are leveling that area, the city corporation, to look at another venture there. The plan is that we will be able to get the old railway station back as a museum. This particular plan involves the ecotourism, it involves health tourism, sports, culture, it involves a certain amount of recreation as well, because the people in San Fernando feel we don't have enough green spaces and there are no opportunities for recreation in San Fernando. I do want to say at this point in time that there is a feasibility study. The contract is about to be awarded, if not already awarded, by the Central Tenders Board, and that will allow for a public-private partnership. This project is probably worth over $1 billion when it is finally completed. So we look forward to that. It is not any small-scale project, and it is more for the sustainable development of San Fernando and South Trinidad.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
And that story brings us to the end of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Joseph Lopez. Thank you for watching.